It's Cinemassacre's Monster Madness.
The Descent. This is a movie about a group of thrill-seeking girls who go on a trip into a cave. They're exploring the depths of the earth, and
yeah, I remember the beginning of this movie was it starts a little slow.
Oh yeah, it does.
With these girls before they get to the cave. So again, kind of like the Frozen movie, this is a movie that takes a bit of time to get going.
Yeah,
I felt
it's like a very simple concept. They go in caves, and then there's a cave-in, and they're trapped. Very simple idea, but very terrifying. It's very claustrophobic. I think that's why the movie's so great, because it's a very real kind of fear.
That aspect of it, going down into a cave and getting trapped in a cave, is definitely a horrifying idea. And you're right, it is claustrophobic. And while we had talked about Frozen and how that was something that could really happen.
Yeah.
Just the idea of going down into a cave and being trapped in a cave and being in that kind of claustrophobic setting is something that could really happen, and that is really horrifying. So you have that going on, and then at the same time, this movie has, I believe they're like subhumanoid creatures, and when I was watching it, I was like, oh, there's like monsters down there, but actually, what it really is there are, it's like if you were caught in a cave and you could never get out of the cave, and then you mated with someone, and then you lived your whole life in this cave. You never saw sunlight, and then you had kids, and that kid never saw the sun, and they grew up
like a whole species. You're just like saying like the possibility of like something like that.
So what I'm trying to say is, in this movie, I don't think that these things down there are necessarily monsters. They're humans that over eons adapted to living in the darkness in the cave, so they're subhumanoids, which that's another terrifying concept. So it's kind of like on top of being caught in this cave, which is a realistic situation. I could also imagine this may be they're believable monsters. I guess is what I could say. Like where almost, a vampire is never going to exist, I don't think, or a werewolf is not going to exist. These things, I feel like there's a small possibility that maybe that could happen.
It's a little bit like a remake of The Mole People, because they go underground, there's a cave-in, it's a bunch of archaeologists in that movie, and there's a whole species of mole people living under there who are just like, they're a little more monster than this. And actually, speaking of the monster thing,
another thing that
Time Machine, H.G. Wells, also kind of like that. Yeah.
And it also reminded me. There's actually, the whole time I was watching the movie, there was a Thundercats episode that I would watch when I was a kid. It was Lionel's Anointment Trials, the Trial of Cunning, the third day, where Lionel goes down into a cave and meets all these subhumanoid creatures that have to adapt to the darkness. It was the whole time I was watching the movie, I was like, this is like that Thundercats episode. So there's definitely a lot of things, but I think the best example, you're right, is probably the Mole People, because that's probably where all that originally came from. That whole concept.
Yeah, unless the story, the H.G. Wells story, The Time Machine, because I know the movie came out after the Mole People, but there's subterranean creatures in that
as well.
Too.
Yeah, that's true.
But to tell you the truth, I feel like the movie, it's still good, but I feel like they kind of ruined it by putting monsters in it.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a monster movie at that point, where before I think it was scary enough where they're trapped underground,
Yeah.
There's a movie I thought that really fucking ruined it. That is a much worse example, but there's a movie called Devil, which is about people trapped in an elevator, and it's like, okay, well, that's scary enough. The whole movie, people are trapped in an elevator, but then one of them is the devil, and it's like, it goes into this kind of thing. That was much worse. Descent is actually really good, but
I felt that way the first time I ever saw From Dusk Till Dawn. I don't feel that way.
Some people have said that.
I don't feel
that.
that way now.
Yeah.
But the first time I watched the movie, I really loved it.
I showed it to you in college.
I loved it, and then it went into the whole vampire thing, and I was like, oh, well, this is stupid now.
Well, I remember your reaction,
upon rewatching the movie.
I thought at the time, I would have thought you loved it. I'm not exactly sure what you thought, but when that part happened, I remember your reaction that you had no idea what was coming, and seeing you not know, and then see it happen, you just were like, oh my God, like what happened to this movie? Oh my God. And then I think you said to me, like, I see why you like this now. That's the only thing I remember. But you're telling me you didn't like it. You didn't like that it turned into...
The first time I saw it, it bothered me because I didn't see... It really threw me for a loop because I didn't see the movie going in that direction. Yeah. Then I rewatched it and I was like, okay, that's awesome. But very much like that. This movie, being caught in the cave and all that, that was so terrifying. And then the monsters come into it and you're kind of like, all right, well, what happened? This kind of fell apart a bit.
Yeah, because From Dusk Till Dawn, I kind of feel like the first story kind of wrapped up. They made it to Mexico. They're there at the bar. They're all celebrating. And it's like, okay, they made it. Like, I didn't think there was a lot left to happen. And then then all of a sudden it becomes a vampire movie. It's like two movies really put together. But I can understand, like, if people are saying, that...
Speaking of things falling apart, I felt like the ending was...
You know what? We're ready to... Maybe we can go into a spoiler section where we can just talk about the ending.
Okay.
The only other thing I think I'd say is just a production trivia is just that the cave sets were all shot at Pinewood Studios in England, which is where they did lots of movies like Batman, 89 Batman, and the Bond movies and stuff like that.
That's interesting.
So that
I
was
didn't know that.
Yeah, so it shot it like a studio. They weren't really in a cave.
Right.
And I just thought it was a great movie because it's about the depths. 'Cause, some people have a fear of heights. I think the fear of depths is more strong to me, like what lurks within the earth.
Yeah, I haven't seen many movies that deal with the fear of heights. Because I actually have a fear of heights. So if there was a movie like that, that would probably terrify the shit out of me. But But anyway, I'd like to talk about the ending.
Sure. So spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler alert now. This is a movie that had multiple endings, which kind of bothers me because I feel like. There was a European ending,
really?
And then there was the American ending, and I think then there's also a DVD ending. I could be wrong. There's all these different endings to the movie. Oh. The one I saw was the one on the DVD, which I liked the ending, but then upon hearing that there's all these alternate endings and stuff, I feel like it's kind of like they didn't know what to do with the ending.
Yeah, they didn't. I actually listened to the commentary track on just for the end because I was like, what were they thinking with this?
Yeah.
And they said that they didn't... I don't even know if they necessarily said they didn't have any answers, but they'd rather people speculate and everything, which is fine sometimes. But and I have my speculations about it.
What do you think about the ending?
I guess first of all, the ending. I think is this the one you saw? Because I didn't know there were multiple endings. Like I don't even think I saw that.
I saw the one with like the truck. And somebody gets hit by a truck or something, and then she ends up in the. I kind of forget. It's been a while since I've watched the movie.
Well, what I remember is that first of all, even before
she crawls. The one I saw, she crawls out of the cave. She finally makes it out at the end, and then she gets hit by a truck and gets killed or something.
Oh, in the one I saw, she did not get hit by a truck.
Oh, see, there you go.
And didn't we watch the same DVD? Didn't you lend me that one?
I think I did.
I don't remember there being I look at bonus features and stuff. I didn't see any alternate endings. I didn't watch any alternate endings if they were on the DVD. Yeah, they didn't even say anything on the commentary. But I'm surprised how that got by me because I don't even think it said that on the Wikipedia page that there were multiple endings. But anyway, all I knew is she gets out of the cave, and then I guess I have to back up and say in the beginning of the movie she's in a car accident and her husband and her daughter die. And then they sort of don't really address it afterwards. It was sort of like, I was watching the first time, I was like, well, why the hell did that have to happen? Why couldn't it just begin with them going into the cave?
Which is why I felt like it was a kind of like a full circle. There was the car accident in the beginning, and then she kind of gets hit at the end when she finally makes it out or something.
Well, what I saw, she gets out of the cave, and then she gets into her car's still there, and she starts driving, and then she stops driving, and she's just crying at the wheel. And then I think she's supposed to be on the same road where that accident happened, and maybe it's bringing back memories or whatever. And then she turns around, and it's the girl who she killed earlier in the cave.
See, I don't remember seeing that.
And she's got the blood coming out of her eyes, and she's like a ghost almost.
Okay, so I haven't seen that.
Yeah, and then it stops, and then she wakes up like that was a dream.
Okay.
And then the truck comes by, I think. but the truck passes her. You know, she just kind of like watches the truck. I think she sees it as like the same truck that hit her or whatever.
Oh, you know
And
what?
then-
Maybe I'm thinking of it wrong. Maybe that's the part I'm thinking
Yeah,
of.
and then that's not even it. Then she wakes up again, and then she's inside the cave again.
Yeah, you know
And
what?
then-
That's what I remember
Yeah.
that part of it. Okay.
And she's got the birthday cake, and her daughter's there, and they're both sitting in the cave. So she's kind of like, I feel like she's just remembering.
You know what the thing is?
Yeah.
We did watch the same version. You remember it better than I do.
Okay.
That's the problem.
And I still might not be remembering it perfect, but yeah, she doesn't get hit by the truck, but she wakes up in the cave again. So it's basically kind of like a cop out kind of thing. Like, okay, did she really get out of the cave, or is
Yeah.
she really still in there dreaming? And
I don't know. I was so confused by the ending. I didn't understand
Yeah,
it.
it's so weird.
I also saw
It's-
this movie like a year ago, so I don't
Yeah.
really totally remember. But I just remember, liking like. About a half hour into the movie, once they start to get trapped in the cave, I was like, "Oh wow, this is really good," and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And they're trying to like get across that chasm and all that. And you know, they stick these things into the rock, and they're trying to like climb along. And like I think one of the girls maybe falls or dies or gets hurt or something.
Yeah.
And then they're crawling through these little like passageways and stuff. All that stuff, I was like, wow, this is so scary to be in that situation.
Yeah.
By the time the monsters came in and that whole confusing ending, I was like, fuck this movie.
yeah,
You
the
know?
ending. Yeah, I didn't really like it, the ending, but I thought the only thing I got out of it, where she's in the cave with her daughter, I think she was just kind of remembering the you know, bringing her daughter the birthday cake. She was remembering something happy while she was in the cave, because that was all she had.
Okay.
Was just a memory of something. But yeah, it's a little weird. But you know what? To tell you the truth, backing up from the ending, what really frustrated me about it was how all the blame was placed on that other girl, because okay, they're fighting all the creatures, right? And then
Right.
she accidentally like turns around and stabs her friend.
Yeah,
and it was an
that
accident.
part. I thought that
Yeah.
was a good part. I like
Well,
that.
well, that's not the part. Like that was an accident anyway. But then she's like dying, and then she leaves her there dying. And
Right.
it's like I think she wanted her. I think she said something like "kill me," like to finish her off, because she's like in pain, she's dying,
Something like
to
that.
put her out of her misery. And then she left her there because I guess she couldn't kill her friend or whatever. I forget exactly what happened, but the point is it was an accident.
Yeah.
And then the other girl, the main girl, comes in, and then the last thing that she says before she dies is she tells like who it was
Yeah.
who stabbed her, and then she thinks that she killed her, and it was like it's like a complete what's the word, like a fuck.
Yeah, it's misunderstanding.
misunderstanding. Yeah. So then she becomes like a vengeful,
Right.
like a Carrie almost, or like more
Yeah.
like the bride from Kill Bill.
Absolutely.
And actually kind of looks like her. She's splattered in blood and everything. So then she goes and then she kills the other girl, and the whole time. But the way I mean, I didn't mind the fact that there was a misunderstanding. I didn't mind that was okay, like to make it into a tragedy. But they were kind of
The way they played it out.
the way they
bothered you.
played it out made her like she was kind of becoming like this, like she was right, like she's the hero. Like
Right.
okay, she's gonna go up and she's gonna fight this other girl. She's gonna kill her for what she did to her friend. And it's like,
It was
did
kinda fucked
the
up,
filmmakers know what happened? Did they know that it was an accident, or did
Right.
they film two different things without knowing how they connected?
Right.
Like that really pissed me off.
Right.
But and the confusing ending. But I really liked the first act. Once they get in the cave, once the cave in happens,
Right.
I think
Not the
movie's-
first act, more like the second act.
more like the middle, like
Yeah.
once the second act begins, I believe it was
Before
brilliant.
the monsters come in and
the
after
midpoint,
the bullshit
the
in the
monsters
beginning.
come in. You know, I think it was brilliant. I think it was a
Yeah.
brilliant movie, but with some really wrong choices toward the end.
You know what the best part of the movie was?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hot chicks.
Oh,
There you go.
you got that.
Yeah.